AP Cram, the AP Human Geography Exam. Free response question 51. Educational patterns in the developing world. Educated girls and the effect on demographic transition. Remember that Section 2 consists of free response questions. There are 3 questions that should be formatted as short essay answers, and you have 75 minutes to complete them, so allocate your time properly. The free response section is 50% of your exam score. You're required to define and explain and apply geographic concepts and also interpret geographic data. Okay? The countries in the graph illustrate an important trend in educational patterns in the developing world. As more girls become educated in a given region, how does this affect the country's demographic transition placement? And for those of you who, as you formulate your thoughts, I'll give you a moment to think and write out a concrete answer if this is practice for you for the AP Human Geography exam. But while you're doing that, if you're wondering what demographic transition is, it refers to the transition from high birth and death rates, that's crude birth rates and crude death rates, to lower birth and death rates. But this occurs concurrently as a country moves from being a developing pre-industrial nation to an industrialized economic system, okay? So I'll give you a moment to think. And again, demographic transition is the work of Malthus. All right, by now you should have your answer. So for a given region, as more women or females become educated, the developing country that's experiencing this shift may enter a later stage of the demographic transition model. And here goes an image of the demographic transition model. So the country prior to the education of women, all right, the country may have been in stage 1 or stage 2, which would be like a pre-modern, pre-industrialized stage, or an early industrializing stage, like along here, okay? But as more women become educated, they may shift from an early stage 2 to like a stage 3 or even stage 4 towards the end of the education of women. And here we see that the blue line represents the crude birth rates. The red line represents the crude death rates. And as the country, the developing country, advances through demographic transition, not only does the birth rate fall, but the death rate falls as well. And there are several reasons for a falling death rate and a falling birth rate. So remember that as more women become educated, employment outside the home is definitely going to increase, okay? And there's going to be a reduction in pregnancies and the deaths associated with pregnancies, because in a lot of developing nations, women die in childbirth, and there's also a high infant mortality rate as well, okay? So people are going to be delaying making the decision to get married and have children. And because there's more education, there are going to be lifestyle changes, maybe better healthcare providers who are women because they know what other women need, given that they probably have seen their mothers or female relatives go through the childbearing process, or they might have gone through it themselves. And because women have their own income now, they're better prepared to take care of their children. So there's going to be a lower infant mortality rate. And, they're going to realize how much resources go into taking care of a child. So they'll probably be less gung-ho about making too many children, okay? All right.